Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and I am super excited to be joined for this episode by Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Well, try it again, Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hi, can you hear me or no?
Yeah, now we gotcha.
Perfect.
Amanda. Hey, Amanda.
Hi.
And Leah. Hey, Leah.
Hi, everybody.
Um, okay, so it's officially sweater weather.
Sweater weather. I love sweater weather.
I'm like, hoodies are out. Amanda is not wearing hoodies, though.
No,
No.
I will be going on vacation next month, so I can wear a sweater. So
Heather, do you have snow yet? I mean, it's October.
We don't. I mean, his high face.
Okay. So, on this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we are talking all about the binge. We're going to talk about binge reading and our favorite bingeable romance series. On episode 97, Leah and I covered the different kinds of series. And so I thought we would just briefly go over those again in our romance term of the week, because we'll probably talk about those different kinds of series when we give you our bingeable series recs. So for terms of the week, first up, the interconnected series. Each individual series is each individual book in the series is a standalone within a main world and is connected by a setting, a character, or two. Each series is typically launched by a spin-off or crossover book. So, that is, well, I guess that would be the interconnected world, but also interconnected books. A series with an overarching theme or storyline is when something is overarching. Either it affects or includes everything. While each story will have its own couple and HEA, there will be an overarching theme that is carried throughout the series. It could be a mystery, or it could be like a problem. You know, like in Winterville, they're trying to save the town of Winterville. So
What a
then,
surprise you mentioned Carrie Elks.
listen, she was on my list originally 3 times for bingeable series, but this was hard for me. Okay, so series of standalones. Each individual book is a standalone story within the main series and is connected by a setting, a character or two, and a few Easter eggs leading to other stories and glimpses of past stories. These are the best books to read out of order.
I agree.
Yep.
And then a duology is a narrative series that compromises of 2 books, meaning it will take 2 full-length novels to tell the whole story. Book 1 will end with a cliffhanger, and then a trilogy is a series of 3 novels that tell a complete story. Book 1 and 2 will end on cliffhangers. So,
Those are the worst.
sometimes cliffhangers are okay. Perfect Gentleman.
Okay. Yes, sometimes they are okay.
If all the books are out.
And also if you're told, there's nothing worse than a surprise Cliffy when the next book is not out.
Well, and you had that
Agree.
happen to you recently.
I did. I don't remember what book it was, but I was very ragey.
And I know, and we haven't talked about this in a while, but like Heather does not like duologies or trilogies because she loses interest.
Yeah, I like flat out won't read them.
I at least read them.
It's like maybe 3 sometimes I give up.
Yeah, I think if the story feels drawn out, it can create a problem. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the trilogies feel overwritten, it's too much back and forth, and it gets boring.
Well, and I think if I am going to have to pick between 1 or 2, I'd pick a duet over a trilogy, because I feel like typically book 1 is really strong. Book 2 sometimes is, but by book 3, I'm like, do I need all this crap?
I think that's fair. Okay, so let's discuss first. Are you a binge reader? Personally, I have found out I am not, and I'm not a very good binge reader.
You're binge specific.
I am binge specific. Amanda, are you a binge reader? Like by nature, do you like to binge the whole series in one sitting? Or
I do. I've done it for a lot of series, especially when I found Kindle. I was binging several series back to back to back. I don't do it as much anymore, but I think that's because I'm in the middle or, in progress for certain series. And then also too, I have so much on my TBR anymore that if it doesn't grab me in the first couple of books, I'm going to move on. So
yeah. What about you, Heather? Are you a binge reader?
I used to be. I think I'm in the same boat as Amanda. When I first started reading and got Kindle Unlimited, I just read all the time. Just binge read series like crazy. And now there's just so much. It's kind of
I do think
overwhelming.
with, each month there's 100 new romance novels at least coming out every month.
At least.
And
yeah.
Mhm.
FOMO's real in the book world. You don't want to miss what that book everybody's buzzing about.
For sure.
So, what about you, Leah? Are you a binge reader?
I am a hardcore binge reader. And on it, but I will only binge like when it's a series that is complete.
Okay, so
Like I won't binge an author like through a backlist unless like the full series is done. So I'm binge specific too, I guess.
well, that leads into the next question because how do you approach a series? So for Leah, you hold off until a series is complete before you read it.
Well, no, I don't hold off. Like I will read a book as it comes out, but if I'm gonna binge, just like binge, like it has to be a full series. Like I won't hop from like series to series for an author. So like when you had your Summer of Salmon, you read complete series and hopped around backlist, but it was okay if the series wasn't done.
Yeah.
I don't like if I'm gonna binge, it has to be a full series.
Heather, how do you approach a series? Do you hold off on a series until it's complete?
No, I actually like to try and catch up. Like if there's 4 books out, I'll read those 4 books and then hopefully catch it as it releases.
So as a former library person, I can't wait. I need to get them as they come out because sometimes the wait list, you can be on the wait list for as long as it's going to take for the next book to come out. So you got to get on there when you can. I need to read them as they're coming out. What about you, Amanda? Do you hold off on a series until it's complete?
No, typically not. I tend to do what Heather does and try to catch up. But I think the only time I hold off is if I've been backlist binging an author and then I get kind of burnt out on their books. Like if they're in the middle of a new series, I may wait on that new one to be complete before I go back and read that one.
Yeah.
I think Catherine Cowles was that way for me.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point because I think there are some authors that you can't binge read their series because then, so I tend to be a little bit more of a critical reader and I'm not cutting down how anybody reads, but I look for things. And I think that when you're binging a series like Catherine Cowell, because I noticed it with her first, there are patterns to her series, and
Yeah.
characters start, and I'm already horrible with names, you guys. Like we all know this, right? Like, let's talk about Manny, who's really Benny. But I started having problems with Catherine Cowell's series from Wolf Gap over to this new series that she's doing. And I started to see the patterns in her characters and in the story she types to tell. Not just like the kidnapping in every book or anything like that, but just like the character arcs were the same.
Yeah, I can see that because I started out in her Wolf Gap series and then we were doing one of the books, I think, from Sutter Lake for a book club. So I binged all of those to catch up to where we were. And then I binged the Reckless series right after. So then it was like, okay, when I got caught up on the Tattered and Torn, I had to kind of take a break. So,
yeah.
Well, but then there are those authors like A.L. Jackson who I love her books, but I am emotionally like like wrought when I'm done with her books. So like I can't read them back to back because I can't handle it. And she has a formula too, and it's fine and it's okay. But if I read, well, one, like she will rip you apart over and over and over again.
100%.
And so like you need that like break, and you need that gap with her books to separate yourself from the formula and from the emotional destruction she has put you through.
She absolutely does have a formula, just because I just noticed it with her newest series. It was very good, but sometimes some of her heroes are the same with different names. What about you, Heather? Do you have authors that you won't binge read, that you prefer to take piece by piece?
I don't know. I try to stay away from I'm a low angst person.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so do you have to read a series in order? And this brings up the follow-up question, can you machete a series? Heather, do you have to read a series in order?
no. Nope, I don't.
See, this is why we're friends. Leah, do you have to read a series in order?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. What changed?
Honestly, like I was bouncing around in like order the one time and I didn't realize it. And I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. But that being said, it has to be a series of standalones, because if you come across a series that has that overarching storyline and you machete, I get a little mad. But again, that is an author, like you have to have an author note saying like, read these in order. Like, don't say it's a standalone if it's not, because that was my hang up with the series. Because what happened, like that would happen. Like I'd come in like in the middle of a series because I didn't realize there were other books and I would have missed things. And then I got a little ragey. I will say I read a series recently. I cannot think of what it was, but it was out as a standalone, but it should not have been, because there's some major like pieces that like had you, like if you came in where I came in, you missed a lot. And so I did end up going back and then reading it like in order from there. But I was mad because it was said that it was a standalone, but it wasn't.
So I have to laugh sometimes, some of the author notes, and I don't know if you've noticed this. Sometimes there will be author notes that say, each book is its own couple and they get an HEA, but best read in order. And so then if you message the author and say, hey, can you just tell me, can this be read individually? Well, yeah, but you'll get Easter eggs to what happens to the others in their relationship. And I said, does each book get an HEA? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, you spoiled every book for me then. Like, don't be stupid, bitch. Like, I get you want the money for me to read all of your books.
Yeah.
But I'm asking for a very specific reason. Like, I want to feature your book on a quick shot, but I can't feature book 3 if it has to be read in order.
Yeah.
And sometimes book 1s suck in a series.
Well, or sometimes book 2 will suck. Like book 1 is good because it's like new, and then there's that like that sophomore
Amanda's
slump
over there
series.
saying book 2 too. Like, yes, 2 always.
Honestly, though, if you're reading a series, 9 times out of 10, book 2 is the weakest book, depending on the author. But there are some authors, book 3 is always the weak book, which doesn't make sense. But
I was just going to say, book 3 sometimes for me is where they lose me.
It's really interesting because, like, when I had my Summer of Salmon, which was my last really, well, I guess Kaylee Ryan last summer.
And Carrie Elks also.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie Elks was last fall, yeah. So, but my Summer of Salmon binge, in her, which one is it? The Edge,
Edge.
The Edge of Chaos series. It's book 2. Like, I chucked that book.
Yeah.
And I even told her,
Aria's book, isn't it?
Yeah, the heroine, she's a bitch and dumb, and I hated her. I hope she fell off the roof. Amanda,
Don't worry, she tells this to Julie's face.
I've
so.
told Julie this multiple times. I'm like, she needs chucked off a roof. I hated her. Can you machete a series? Do you have to read in order?
I can, but I don't like to. Um,
We'll break you of
I
it, don't worry.
just,
I know,
yeah,
seriously.
I really can, and I have done it, especially if they're standalones. But if it's a series or an author that I'm really invested in, I, I need to read it in order because I need to see those other characters throughout the series.
Yeah.
And then also if it's a newer to me author, sometimes like I feel like I'm missing things, and I really don't like to not know things when I read a book. So and whether it's told in a previous book or not, if it's hinted, like I'm mad that I don't know what's going on. So
I think that's some of the problems with Melissa Foster's books
Extensive backlist.
is
yeah, she's hard.
She crowds the pages and hints at a lot of things, and her books are so immersive into her world that at times it's a little overwhelming to read her books. And you spend a lot of time in that reading going, did I miss something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a part with hers, but I've been able to kind of navigate around because I started with a newer series of hers and then went back. And I think a lot of hers too, like I can pick and choose people that I like in her series and I can move around. Some people I can't do that with.
Well, but I feel like with Melissa Foster's series, like she gives you enough on page, like information too, that you don't feel lost, like when she's introducing all of these characters. Like she says, like it is this person with this connection and stuff and like that. So I feel like with her, yes, the pages are very often crowded, but at the same time, it's not just a random person showing up where there's no description whatsoever as to like the connection to the characters.
Yeah. Heather, what's the best part of binge reading a series?
I think kind of just seeing everybody's story through, just kind of getting the whole picture, meeting like a family. I love a family series.
Yeah. For me, I think, and it's part of the reason I probably go back to like Sawyer Bennett's series all the times, because she doesn't write epilogues, which, yay, love it. But she gives us little peeks back to our favorite characters, even like from other series, like in the Pittsburgh Titans after the plane went down. And I think it was it might have been in Baden's book, but I think it was Stone's book, where we get what's her face from the Cold Fury.
Jenna.
No, the one that becomes the general manager, the owner's daughter. Her and it's Riker is her hero.
Yeah, I think it was Stone's book.
Yeah, it's Stone's book because, they gave them like everybody took a break, gave them, like 7 days before the season would kick up again, and held the standings for them.
What is her name? That's going to bug me.
I don't know.
For sure.
I'm going to look it up.
I'm fairly certain that her hero is Riker. So it'd be the
goalie.
Yeah, the goalie.
Yeah,
that's her.
She's the GM, but I can't think of her name.
Here, I'm looking it up, friends. Don't you worry.
But, like we even get pictures of her.
Gray.
There we go. Gray, we get to see Gray in the Titans. Well, that was like 2 series ago. So that's one of the best parts for me of a binge is when, like
the worlds collide.
Yeah, or people get married, you go to their weddings, you see their, like how their life is after their book.
Like you really get invested in like the HEA from past books that you've read when they like show up randomly in these books.
Well, even when they're like having families and babies and stuff like that, and maybe in the epilogue that the author gave us, the person was pregnant and expecting. But then
you wouldn't know that.
Well, then we're 3 books in, and then we get to see the, they've had the baby or the family comes, and I think we saw that with, in Jay Salmon's, her Boston Billionaire, in the last book, he delivers the baby. for the one sister-in-law. And that was, it was fun. I do like I think that's fun in binge reading. I also think there's a comfort in it, right? Like you get to stay in this world for a little bit and you can ignore everything else.
Well, and like I often will binge like series that I've already read. So it's like there's no surprises, but it makes me reset. It helps me reset. So like I will binge like a 7 or 8 book series in like 3 or 4 days because one, like I've already read it. So like I'm not reading it for all those little minutia of it, but it helps me like get out of my head.
Amanda, what's the worst part of binging a series?
The worst part of binging, I think, is when there's an overarching plot and you keep reading because you need to know what's going on. And you just, I don't know. I did that with Stacey Marie Brown's Savage Land series. And y'all, this is it's like a 6-book series, and the longest one is 600 pages. I read these books in like 4 days because I needed to know what was going on, and I thought my eyes were going to bleed. And I was so mad. There was so much banging in these books, just like dream banging all the time. I had no idea what was going on half the time, and I couldn't stop reading it. I was like, please.
Could you stop having sex and create a story?
What was this book series again? I think I'm going to need to know that.
There's so much banging.
Savage Land.
Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown.
Heather is now adding this to there's so much. You know that it's bad when someone on this podcast is like, seriously, there was so much banging. I had a book earlier this week that
the Sadie Kincaid one?
The Sadie Kincaid book. I was
they had so much sex.
I was so fucking pissed at that book because it wasn't even porn without plot. Like they tried to have a plot, but they were just too busy banging to get to the actual plot.
There was so much banging.
It was too much banging. I'm really mad about that book. Like it could have been so much more, but I'm so mad. And that rant is for another day.
It is for another day.
Because I was mad, guys.
I know Becky called me as soon as she was done with it and just like let loose. It was.
Anyway, Heather, what's the worst part of binge reading a series for you?
It depends on the books, but I think sometimes when it's over, like you're like, well, now what? Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not ready for this to be done. Yeah. I miss them. Like, how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I'm kind of mad at Amanda right now because she finally dipped into Rena Morgan and she made me read a book for a quick shot, which not sad about, but then I realized that like I don't have another book from her. And there are characters that I still want books for. Like there's Ivan and his little girl Mary. I want their book. Her Nolan Knight series. There are other heroes. Are there other guys in that series that, and I went looking and I'm like, there's no books coming up from her. So now I'm going to have to email her this week and be like, hey, Rena.
We need this Ivan book like now.
Could you give me a book, please?
Yeah, I looked online. I went online as soon as I finished. I was like, does Ivan have one coming up? Or what's going on here? And then I couldn't find anything. So I was going to ask you today, actually, if you knew anything.
I haven't spoken to Rena in probably a couple of months. We go back and forth every couple of months. So I think she's due for a ragey email from Becky. And she knows
it's her own
it.
fault. She gave him an adorable storyline.
Well, anyway, yeah. But I agree. The worst part is saying goodbye to those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you save that last book? Do you save it?
Sometimes.
Because Carrie Elks, the last book in the Winterville series, comes out here in November.
But you don't want to read it because then the series will be over.
And I love that world so much.
Sometimes a binge is disappointing when it doesn't end well also. Like if there's a book that you're really, really looking forward to and it's disappointing and then the whole series is ruined.
But what if you don't know that the series is over? So we all know I love Sawyer Bennett. She's like my favorite. But she was not definite that the Arizona Vengeance were over. And I think they're over. And I'm so, because they're my favorite.
I don't know that they're 100% over.
Well, that's good news.
So she's really, I know that right now she's focused only on Titans, and then she's launching this new small town series.
Which is in like 200 days.
Not that anyone is counting.
Nope. Heather, no joke, has countdowns on her cell phone.
Oh my God.
Are you saying that's crazy? Because it's not.
No, it's not crazy at all, you stalker. But the thing with Sawyer's, though, too, is like characters are traveling to Pittsburgh. So like she's technically still continuing that series because, I mean, Bane was in Arizona. Bane is coming. Jenna was in Arizona. Jenna came. Like she's still continuing because she just makes the move.
Did you see her Ask Me Anything earlier this week?
Yes. I don't know.
I'm sure you did.
In her stories, she had up in her stories and Ask Me Anything. And so I was like, could we get like a revisit to Clark and Wild?
Of course you did.
And then Lisa sends me a text message and she's like, I saw this. I'm going to respond with, Wild was an ass and cheated on Clark, and Clark is coming to Pittsburgh and marrying somebody else. And I'm like, you're a whore. Stop your mouth.
Oh my, I'm so glad I didn't ask about Dax because that would break my heart.
Right?
Lisa would not have done that to you, though.
She's mean. But apparently I was not the only person that asked about Wild or revisiting other characters, because in her stories with her response was, oh, and here's a comment from Wild's #1 fan. But then later on, she said she had several people ask about Wild. You know why? Because he's the swooniest. Anyway.
This is why I suggest to authors all the time to do Christmas letters from their characters.
I need them all. We're totally off subject.
Weird.
Shocking that happened to us.
That has never happened before.
Well, because I was thinking about, so this episode is Amanda's idea. And I was thinking about the series that I like to binge, and it really is those ones that I want to go back and have those connections with the characters. And unfortunately, like, because Heather did it to me also this week. She calls me at 10 o'clock at night and is like, hey, I'm obsessed with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Can we do an episode, like a quick shot that gives like books with those vibes? And I'm like, yeah, sure. But she made me reread a Kelly Jamison Chicago Aces book. And I'm like,
that series is so freaking good.
My favorite book in that series is the one where they get snowed in. He and the single mom.
Yes.
I love a good snowed in story.
And their sex toy.
She's a sex toy
company.
engineer. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun to decide.
And then honestly,
that they're going to become that kind of engineer. I mean, honestly, like, do you just kind of fall into it?
I'm not sure that there's falling.
No pun intended.
As much as vibing. I think it's more a vibe. They get a vibe.
I have some little ears local, so I have to really watch like my wordage right now.
No, it's a vibe.
It is a vibe.
In more than one way.
Pun intended.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there.
But
for anybody who can answer that question for me.
But I do think that that's what's great about a series is like, especially rereading. So your favorite series, do you reread them?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
Or I'll go back and listen to them. Like if I haven't listened to that series, like I'll go listen to it instead of rereading it. So then I can work and like live in that world at the same time.
Oh, I agree with this. I agree with all this. Okay, so let's talk about what are some of our favorite series to binge read. Amanda, I have to tell you, I adore you, but you come with such hopes because you're like, okay, how many series did we have? We and Leah's like, yeah, I'm gonna have about 5. And Leah has exactly 5.
No, I added more.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I wrote them down. I didn't
Heather
put them
has
in the
like
sheet.
37. I have like 10. And Amanda, you are nowhere near your 5. You're at least like 8 or 9.
I just put extras on there in case there were duplicates. That's all.
No, it's okay. I just think that you come with such hope that we're going to stick to 5. And Amanda, for those who don't know, keeps our episode wiki. So every book that we ever mention in an episode, Amanda keeps track of those and has a whole spreadsheet of it. And I
And we
think
tell
she
her we're
hopes
sorry all the time.
all the time. I think she hopes we'll stick to 5 so that she's not like trying to scrounge.
Do you have to
No, I
rewind a
gave
lot?
up that. I gave that up that hope a long time ago.
Do you have to
Wait.
rewind and then go back? Because sometimes we like just spout books out without even like thinking about it.
Oh yeah, I have. I pause constantly. I have those podcasts going, a spreadsheet like up, and I'm typing as I'm going. I'll use the books that Becky puts on the website as like my general, and I had them on there one time, and there were like 30 of them. And you didn't mention any of them until the last like 5 minutes of the episode, so I had to insert all these rows, and I was like, "Oh my God."
You're so welcome. Okay. Best series, in our opinion, to binge. Amanda, kick us off. Tell us. We'll just go around, each give one. We'll tell you the series name, the author, if we have a favorite book in the series, and if it has to be read in order, and if we get to it, the number of books in the series. And if you can remember where it's available, like this is a Kindle Unlimited series or an Everywhere series, that's helpful. If not, we can give you access to, we can send you a PDF of the wiki if you ever.
Oh, I didn't put how many books are in the series. I missed that column.
There was a whole freaking column. Like, Leah. Okay, Amanda, you're up first. Who you got?
Okay. All right. My first and favorite series to binge is Triple Canopy by Riley Edwards, who nobody is surprised by this, I'm sure.
Is this Jasper Walker's series?
Actually, it's not.
It's his kids.
It's his kids series.
Shocking.
So actually, you get more of him in the subsequent series, and especially in this series, which is a big part of why it's my favorite. But my favorite book is Tainted. It's actually not even any of the offspring.
This surprises me.
It's not any of the offspring of the original 4 guys. But a big part of the reason this is my favorite is because Adeline's wedding happens in this book. So you see Jasper give Addie away. So that's a really big part of why this is my favorite. But Matt and Chelsea are my favorites. He is a former military guy. His family actually has a lot of money. So he's actually a billionaire. He owns the local bar, which he renamed Balls Deep. So, which is hilarious. It's like a billiard bar. And Chelsea is actually coming on as his manager. She also rides bulls, which is amazing.
Nice.
So she's one of my favorites. And they kind of start out as a friends with benefits situation. And it's one of my favorite books. There are 8 books in this series. This is book number 5. All the books are on Kindle Unlimited. I don't think you have to read the series in order, but you should.
Okay.
So.
Heather, what's your first favorite bingeable series?
My gosh. I'm gonna go with the Heller Brothers hockey series. I know, big shock to everyone. But this is a Kelly Jamieson series. It is a 5-book series. It is in Kobo. My favorite series or favorite book in the series is called Face Off, and it is Tag and Kayla, and she's a lawyer. And they're up at their cabin and there's some tent fun and it's just so cute.
They're feeling intense. Feeling intense. Pun included. Anyway.
No, they're in a tent having fun.
feeling.
at their cabin.
Intense.
Intense, tent fun.
Tent fun.
Mhm. Yeah, that. Sure. It's so good. I love this series. It's one of the very first ones. After the Chicago Aces, I jumped into the Heller Brothers, and it's amazing.
That is a really great series. And side note, Kelly Jamison is bringing the Hellers back in because they bought the New York Bears. So her next Bears book.
I totally forgot that.
How
But
did you
yes,
forget that?
I love you guys. And it's
It's a hockey dynasty, like
get it.
everything series. Okay, Leah, who do you have for a top bingeable series?
Okay, so The Oil Kings by Marie Johnston. This
So
is
good.
such a great series. Amanda just finished it, and I'm like, see, I told you needed to read this. But it's a 5-book series. The book 1 is the dad, and the subsequent 4 books are his sons. And they own an oil company, and the grandmother is the biggest bitch in the world. We do not like her. She's a terrible human being. But it's just the story of their healing because their mom died when they were younger, and like their dad did not deal with it well, and they didn't deal with it well, and like they're not like the closest family, but this series really like brings them all back together. But my favorite out of the series is the final book in the series. It's King's Queen. It's a marriage in crisis, and it's so well done, and it's one of those books where the hero and the heroine, like, they both recognize that they both made mistakes, like they both did things wrong, and so they both make changes to come back together. And I think that is where a lot of authors fall short on the marriage in crisis trope. It's because it's always one's fault, but it's never just one person. It's always there's fault on both sides no matter what. And it just is a really strong story. But just the series as a whole, like, I have my favorites and my not so favorites, but it's a great series. Everybody just needs to read anything that Marie Johnston writes. Go buy her books, people. And you can find her in Kindle Unlimited right now.
So
That series is so good.
my favorite series to go back and binge read is The Bridal Quartet by Nora Roberts. I love Nora Roberts' books. It was a tie between that or her In the Garden series, which is a little bit more, a little darker, a little more whimsical too, as far as like there's, some like mystical feels to In the Garden. That's the word I was looking for, mystical. But I do like The Bridal Quartet. My favorite book in this series is Savor the Moment, which is sibling's best friend. And she's the cake baker they own. And I love a wedding. Like, I love a romance that takes place about a wedding. And these are like wedding coordinators, wedding venue. She is the cake decorator, the baker. And you do not have to read this order in series, and they are available everywhere. So
I love that series. It's so good.
So good. Okay, Amanda, what's up next?
Okay. My next one, I'm going to change it up and go paranormal.
Okay.
So it's The Phoenix Pack by Suzanne Wright. These books are actually available in Kindle Unlimited, and you can listen to them for free on Audible if you have Kindle Unlimited. It's a 8-book series, shifters. Most of it's about wolf shifters, but you do get some other animals in there. My favorite book is Feral Sins. It's book 1 out of the 8-book series. It's Trey and Taryn. Trey is the alpha of a pack, and Taryn is actually part of another pack that her father runs. She's a latent wolf, which means she can't shift. And her father is trying to marry her off to this just douchebag guy that's a part of their pack. And she and Trey run into each other, and it's kind of beneficial for them to pretend that they're mates, even though they both think that they lost their mate when they were children. So it's a fated mate story, fake relationship, and she moves into his pack, and it's insane chemistry. Just like, these books are super sexy. I highly recommend for anybody looking for a shifter series, and it spins off into another series called the Mercury Pack, and then another one called the Olympus Pack, which is ongoing right now. but
Okay.
you do not have to read them in order. You can skip around. I love these books. I've read this series at least 5 times. So
Okay. Leah, what's next? Or Heather, sorry. I skipped Heather. We were like trying to go in
Okay.
order. Heather, what's next?
I'm gonna go with the Checklist series by Al Dubois. It's a very, very, very spicy sex club. They kind of like challenge, like a sex club challenge. Very, very steamy. And my favorite one is K. This K is for
Kidnapping.
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 The best part is they're pretty quick, I think, reads. Like it doesn't take me all day to read it. You don't have to read it in order. You can pick them up,
Pick a letter.
pick a letter.
Mhm.
They are not in Kindle Unlimited, but they are in Kobo, and a lot of libraries have them, and they're just great.
You know what would be fun to do is get like a letter dice, like a, like a category letter dice, the 26 sided, and roll and then pick a letter and
Yeah,
do
I'm
that. That
down.
would be fun.
That would be fun.
Okay, Leah, what's your
Okay, my next one is The Underground Kings by Aurora Rose Reynolds. It is a 4-book series. The first 3 are full novels. The last one is a co-written novella. But it was a book that she hadn't planned on writing, but people really wanted that character's book, so it happened. But my favorite, honestly, like book 1 is very good. It has the best scene in romance with the mattress. But my ultimate favorite is book 3. It's Distraction with Sven and Maggie. Maggie is this ball buster assistant who like shows up to save her sister and does not put up with Sven's shit. And he hires her because of circumstances, and he falls ass over heels for her. And yeah, it's just really good. Like she brings this like playboy badass to his knees. And it's Aurora Rose Reynolds, so of course it's a delightful book.
yeah, and those are in Kindle Unlimited now. So
They are, yes.
so next for me is Hearts and Creek by Carrie Elks. My favorite book in the series is When We Touch, which is book 5. You do not have to read these in orders. You can pick and choose as you go for tropes. There are 5 books in this series, but When We Touch is the little sister of the 4 brothers, and she falls in love with her boss, who is owns the local whiskey distillery, and she is the distiller. So, and I love Carrie Elks, so I was going to mention her one of her series. Okay, Amanda, what you got next?
okay, my next one is the Seal of Protection Legacy series by Susan Stoker. I have actually jumped around a lot in her backlist, but I read all of these in order back to back in a binge. My favorite of this one is Securing Zoe, and that's about Mark and Zoe, and they actually get stranded out in the wilderness in Alaska. So that one's really good. He has to go home. His father passes away, and he goes home and kind of finds out that she's been taking care of his father. They went to high school together and kind of reconnect, but it's a really good one. I really like the whole stranded aspect. There are 7 books in this series total. This one is book 5, and these are available everywhere. They're not in Kindle Unlimited.
Okay, Heather, what you got?
Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to go with Black Bridge Security by Marie James. It is a romantic suspense series. There are 10 books in the series. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. But in standalones, you can hop around, but you don't want to because they're so good. My favorite book in the whole series is called Shot in the Dark, and he is the IT guy, and he like spies on everyone, and he has a bird, and I hate birds like with a passion, hate them. But Puff Daddy, for some reason, I really like Puff Daddy. and he's great.
Puff Daddy has a dirty mind.
Oh,
That's
and
why I
he's
like him.
the bird talks dirty. Everyone talks dirty. And this book is very kinky, and it's
When he stalks his heroine.
just
It's so funny.
like good stalking, honestly.
Good
So
stuff.
good. Read it.
Okay, so next for me, this is newer to me author. This is the only binge I did all summer, you guys. So,
Hey, what about me?
oh, Leah. I'm like a mess. Leah, what's your next series?
It's good that you're going in the same order so that we know like
Right.
when you're
You
skipping
should
us.
just,
Okay.
yeah.
So my next one is The Deep Six by Julie Ann Walker. This is a series that you do need to read in order because of the way the story plays out. Like they are searching for this sunken treasure off the coast of Key West, and they were in the military together. And they came across this story. I can't remember exactly how it starts, but so they are on the coast of Key West. Like they were together in the teams, I believe, I really enjoy this series because of the way she breaks down the book. So it's hour by hour, or like the days progress. It's not, the timeline itself is very short. Like each book is maybe only 3 or 4 days, but she like breaks it down into hours. And it was a really interesting like way of like creating the timeline and the story of the book. But there's some kidnapping, there's some shooting, there's damaged characters, but my favorite is Ride the Tide. This is a 6-book series. It is wide, but it's Ride the Tide. It's book 3, and it is so the heroine is a historian, and she just is very intelligent and smart, and I just really like the way that the tension and the animosity between the hero and the heroine is created, but it makes sense and it works. And it's such a good story, and she writes a really good book.
And Julianne Walker has a huge backlist.
She does, yeah. And she's trad pubbed, I believe.
Yeah.
She might be hybrid somewhat, but these are trad pub, and she's been writing for a while. But she writes a really dynamic story, but it's one of those ones where you have to read in order because you get part of the character's story in the book previous to their book. So like she introduces their story as the books play out. So if you come in at like book 4, you'll be lost on like some of the character development that has occurred.
Okay. So as I was saying, this is the only series that I usually in the summer, because I have a week or two that I'll take that's just for me. I usually do a ton of binging, right? But this summer, I only had one author that I binge read, and that was Maggie Gates. So I read both her poker club series, and her Falls Creek series, and I really like her Falls Creek series. My favorite in that series is What Heals Us, which is book 2. You do not have to read these in order, and it's a 3-book series. But she did promise that there would be a spin-off because there's a couple characters that didn't get books yet that I'm not ready to let go. And those are available in Kindle Unlimited. And she was a new to me author, which, I'm always excited when I find a new to me author. So, Amanda, what's next for you?
Okay, next I have the Fighting for Love series by Jiffy Kate. It's part of the Green Valley, Tennessee Smarty Pants romance world. It's small town. My favorite book in that series is Stud Muffin, which is book 1 out of a 4-book series. That's Cajun Tempest book. He's a former MMA fighter. She's the Duchess of Muffins at Donner Bakery. I love her. She's like a spitfire. They actually meet in a strip club, and she's kind of like dancing on the bar, and he's bouncing and has to get her off the bar. So that's a really good series. It's like I said, it's only 4 books. It's part of the Green Valley, Tennessee, and you can read those completely by themselves without reading any of the other books in that world. And I think you can read those out of order. You don't need to read them in order. and it's in Kindle Unlimited right now still.
Yeah. Well, and it's spinning off their new Jiffy,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
outside of Green Valley, but it's the brothers.
Yeah, the one brother that didn't get a book in that series, it's going to spin off into another book. I think they're going to Texas, I believe.
I think so.
They said.
Yeah, Houston or something.
That's where they're from, I think.
Yeah.
It's wherever
Yes,
like the
the
family
brothers.
lived.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, Heather.
It's a really good series.
What's next? Because we're only going to do 2 more.
What?
So I know. Sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna Southern Wedding series by Natasha Madison. It is still coming out, and I love it. I don't. If you haven't read it, I can't be friends with you. So sorry. It is currently 6 books. More are coming. It is in Kindle Unlimited. The audiobooks are fantastic. There is a novella that you need to read before book 1. Becky did not, so she was a little confused. So don't
No,
do
she
that.
just hated book 1.
I just hated book 1. I don't think the novella could have saved that book
Anyway.
for me.
My favorite is Mine to Love, and it is a best friend's sister, a little friends with Benny's action. And I just love these two. I don't know what else to say. I love the Southern. They're in this old house and they plan all these gorgeous weddings. It's great.
Okay. Leah, what you got?
Mine is the MacArthur Family Series by Katie Reyes. These are actually 3, they're not novellas, but they're not long books at the same time. It's a sibling group. Book 1 is my favorite out of the 3 of them. It's called Falling for Irish. So the hero is a billionaire. The heroine is this really smart, like IT. She like finds back doors and security systems. But she is not like a dummy or poor in any right. But so they break up. So they are not together at the beginning of the book. So it's a second chance, but it makes sense. And it's a 3-book series, and it's an easy read, light read, fairly low angst. It's just one of those stories. It just kind of gives you all the good feels.
Okay. So next for me is last summer's binge author, which was Kaylee Ryan. And I think she is an absolute author that you can binge read and you can skip around, especially if you don't like a certain trope. But I'm going to recommend this time the Riggs Brothers series, because that's not a series that we've talked about. Piece by Piece, I think, is one of my favorites. And I think that's book 1 in this series. But really, I liked all of them. They're billionaire brothers that own a logistics company that does trucking and shipping in Nashville. And they all work together. And then there's different heroines. One owns a baker. One is hired as a receptionist. It's really great. Huge family vibes. So if you want a family romance, you should absolutely check out the Riggs Brothers. You do not have to read these in order. And it's technically 6 books because book 1 is a novella that launched this series. But that's not a brother. It's just a friend that kicks off the series. So anyway, Kaylee Ryan, read her. Her books are bingeable. Okay, Amanda, this is your last one. What you got for us?
Oh, this is my last one? Okay.
Yeah. If
All
not, we'll
right.
have like a 2-hour episode and then everybody will be mad.
No, that's
Will
fine.
they though?
Well, I don't know.
I'll go for my last one. I'm going to go with The Steals at Silver Island by Melissa Foster. I'm sure no one is surprised by that one either from me. We all love this series. There are currently 5 books out. Book 6 is coming out next year. These are available wide. My favorite book in this series is Caught by Love, which is book 3, and that's Archer and Indy. And that's not most people's favorite book, which, I'll take it so I can keep Archer all to myself.
He's just so grouchy.
He is, and I love it though. He's a grouchy winemaker. I mean, come on.
Could not be more perfect for you.
I know. And then his heroine is Indy. She is his sister's best friend. They're kind of hooking up whenever she's in town, and then she moves to the island and they're forced to kind of confront the fact that they don't want to hook up with anybody else. So
That
I
book
really
is a
like this
great
one.
example of balanced banging. They bang a lot in that book, but it
That is
doesn't
true.
overtake the storyline. So that is banging with balance.
But it
Yes.
pops at like page 2.
Yeah.
It does.
Like it opens popping.
He
And
also has
he's
a family
swoony
tree.
too.
She
It's not
does.
just, he's not just, yeah.
There is a family
Family
tree.
and map. And a map. I'm sold.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
I have the map on my mouse pad.
Oh.
You can get
Yeah.
it from her store. I can't remember what she uses.
I don't remember either, but it's delightful.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody should read that one. So that series. So, and you don't need to read it in order. So
Just read the whole series because there are
Yeah.
some really great characters in that series.
Okay.
And the Bra Brigade.
And the Bra Brigade.
yes.
Lee or Heather, what is your? I was gonna skip somebody. Amanda's the only one who did not get skipped tonight.
She's your favorite.
She's my
I got
favorite.
skipped last time.
She did. I totally skipped over when it was her and I and Carolina. So, Heather, what's your last series you think people should binge?
I'm going to shock everyone. I'm going to go MC here. Savage Kings MC, South Carolina. It is Lane Hart and BB West. It is a pretty gritty and some grit. This is it. The audiobooks I've done, they're very good. It is a 12-book series. It is all on Kindle Unlimited. Please check trigger warnings and content. It's pretty intense. There's good. My favorite one is Varric. He does some pretty dirty stuff below the line, like against the law, and I'm here for it. So it was really good. Love this series.
I just started listening to that series in audio because I got book 1 for free. So I was like, yes, please.
I don't typically love MC romances, but I do like Lane Hart and DB Wet. I do like this one. So,
and that is
good.
a wife-husband duo writing together.
Yeah.
Just for anybody who doesn't know that information.
I didn't know that.
oh yeah, they're husband and wife, and he actually is a science fiction author. And then together they write MC.
I really like the series. I stumbled upon it accidentally and liked it a lot.
Okay, Leah, what is your series?
Okay, my last one. It's a tough choice, but I'm going to go with the Stay a Spell series by Juliet Cross. This is a 5-book series about 5 sister witches, and it is hilarious and delightful. And it's a toss-up whether book 1, Wolf Gone Wild, is my favorite, or Resting Witch Face, which is book 5. It gets a toss-up, and it's hard to choose. But fucking Alpha, man, like.
Alpha makes that whole book.
He does. I mean, the characters are really great too, but like there's just something about like the Alpha character that she made it work, and it works so well. And honestly, like if you haven't done the audio, like the audio
Aiden
is
Snow.
outstanding. Aiden Snow, who could like honestly read the dictionary to me on a daily basis, and I would listen to that. But him as Alpha in that deep gravel that he gets. Oh, hot damn, people, you need to listen to it. But it's just a really great story. Like the characters, the love that these sisters have for each other, and the world that Juliet created. It is just outstanding.
So
it is in Kindle Unlimited.
And it is in
also.
Kindle Unlimited. I am going to go with Helena Hunting as a bingeable author. And she's great because you do not have to read in order. You can jump around, and you can jump around between Helena Hunting in her hockey world. You can jump from Helena Hunting over to the H Huntings if you want. I do think that her best series is her All In series. And that is that's a spinoff from the Puck series, so we get some Puck dabbling. But my favorite in that series is book 2, A Favor for a Favor, which is Stevie and Bishop. And I really do love the third book. I mean, he's super swoony, Kingston and Queenie. But I do think Stevie and Bishop, because of banter, they win that series. Heather's dying.
I love them so much.
So when I met her at Readers on the River, she had all like the buttons and stuff. And I went picking through with Deborah Anastasia for all of the pineapple and olive ones. And then her PA sent me 4 signed copies of Good Luck Charm and then a whole baggie full of buttons from like leftover swag and stuff. So
It is Paulina.
Oops, we lost her.
Funny.
Her books are just so good. I love them. And she's just absolutely bingeable. And you don't have to read these in order. And there's 4 books in the All In series. So, but also make sure you pay attention to our social media, because I do have 4 copies of, 3 copies. 1 copy has to go to Heather for Good Luck Charm signed copies that we'll be giving away. Okay, so those are our bingeable series. Those are our favorite series to binge.
Well, just some. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Make sure you check our website, because now that I made Leah do all this research, she probably will write a pour over article about series to binge for the ones that we didn't mention.
I shall.
You shall. I figured you would. Okay, guess what, guys?
It's that time.
It's that time.
Book
of the week. So it's so funny because, I do that graphic every Wednesday with our list of books of the week. And Leonore, she's like, every week when I see that graphic, I say it like you guys say it.
That's what I like to hear. That
That's
makes my
fun.
heart happy.
I'm like, we can never really upgrade to the Echo now, because I think everybody would be sad if they didn't get our awkward.
Her, but you should ask her, does she add the jazz hands?
We'll have to ask. So, Leonore, if you are listening right now, could you just let us know if you add jazz hands or not?
Because they're important too. Not that anybody can see it, but they're important.
Leah and I are the ones that do the jazz hands. That's it.
This is true.
It's really just you guys. Nobody else.
It is.
Leah, what's your book of the week?
My book of the week is actually now I have to look up what it's called, because I binged read, hence the looking up, the Claire Contreras Sin and Deceit series this weekend. It was amazing and wonderful. A little dark. There's some violence on page. But
Is this in prep for our
and we're doing a group read of book 1. So I started that and I was like, oh, I really like these characters. Like, I need to read the rest of them. But so Because I Need You is book 2. It was my favorite out of the 4 that are out. There's actually a book 5 that's coming. I'm not sure who it is, but I have theories and I'm really excited about it, but I have to wait for a while. But just, it's such a great series. So there's a lot of touch her and die vibes, and actually like unaliving people because of the touching sometimes, and that's okay. But yeah, they're very good. The book 2 is an arranged marriage, but they're already married, but neither one of them know about it. And they find out they're married. And she meets her husband when she says, I want a divorce.
Oh.
But
did they get married by proxy?
You have to read it to understand how it happened. Like, it happened when she was like 18. And so she's like 25 or 26. So they've been married for a while, but neither one of them knew it. But they have lived their lives like normal. Like, she's dating a mayor. He's banging a model.
Which is so funny, because Amanda and I read a book where these two people were they married?
They were married. Yeah, it was the 3rd book in the Julia Connors Frozen Heart series. Yeah.
They were married.
Wait, is that the hockey one?
Yeah, I did a Should You Read It on it. Yeah.
But did they know they were married?
No. Well,
He knew that they were supposed to be kind of.
Okay.
Sorry, that's kind of a spoiler.
yeah,
Sorry, friends.
that's fine. Amanda, what's your book of the week?
I don't know why you're asking me this, Becky. You already know.
What-
It is Stand and Deliver by Rena Morgan because I too binged a series this week. I binged the Men of Haven series, and Stand and Deliver just ruined me for everything else. And I'm still trying to get it back right now. But that's Beckett and Gia, and I love that book so much. He's the security expert in the family, and she is actually also a security expert, which is my kryptonite. I love a female security bodyguard. And stay tuned for more about that book.
Yeah. We do have some quick shots in the queue of other books in this series. We did book 1 and book 7. Yeah. There's something magical about Rena Morgan books, but Heather wouldn't know because Heather doesn't read them yet.
Well, sure.
No excuses.
We're tired of your excuses. That it is no longer acceptable for somebody to be like, oh, I'll get to them. No, you're dead to me if you're not reading them. That's all there is
Okay.
to it.
I'll get on that then.
Heather, what's your book of the week?
Oh, well,
Oh,
We lost.
try again, Heather. What's your book of the week?
Tristano. I just started it. It comes out
What is
at
it?
the end. Tristano
Tristiano.
or Tristiano by Cal Riley. It comes out at the end of the month. I am 4 pages in and I really struggled to put it down. So wish me luck on getting sleep tonight.
She's only here because I make her.
What's your book of the week?
My book of the week is Don't Forget Me Tomorrow by A.L. Jackson. So I actually had a really busy, stressful work week, and reading was not happening very
Stressful.
well for me this week. But once I sat down and really focused on giving myself some me and self-care, and I got through Don't Forget Me Tomorrow, it's very, very good. I listened to the audiobook, which is Connor Crace and Samantha Brentmore, and holy shit, those two are magic together.
They really are.
I just loved it. It was very well done. I also did read Stand and Deliver by Rena Morgan. And if you need another bingeable series, check out The Men of Haven by Rena Morgan, because there is something magical in that book, that series.
The moms.
It's the moms.
Oh yeah, the moms. Yeah,
Moms are
it's
the
bingeable.
best.
It's completely bingeable.
And each story feels dynamic on its own. Like it doesn't.
Well, and the characters are so different too. Like there's no like repeat like behaviors or anything like that. Like they're all alpha, like they're all strong, but they're all very different.
But I think the heroines in that series are
They shine.
outstanding, kick-ass heroines. And Rena Morgan did something that no other author, and we'll talk about this in the quick shot. There's only one other author in my repertoire that has ever done this. And that is to make me fall in love and cheer for a heroine that I hated early in the series.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little bitter between her and Lexi Ryan.
Yeah, but Rena doesn't make us hate other people
No,
in the book.
no, she didn't. Lexi gets the big mad.
She gets the big bad.
Okay, so time for a Patreon update. We have swag packs should been hitting mailboxes over the weekend, and I'm so excited to share that our swag pack sponsoring authors for October are Laura Lynn Page, Angela M. Lopez, Mary Carr, and Michaela Smetzler. Some latest releases from these authors are Laura Lynn Page, her Brutal Secrets, which is book 2 in the Brutal Billionaire series, and it is a standalone. It's an age gap. It is on my Kindle because that man chest cover just screamed to me. I don't know. That's a hot cover. Angelina M. Lopez, Full Moon Over Freedom. It is book 2 in her Milagro Street series. It is excellent. It is excellent.
So good.
Second Chance Romance. You should absolutely check that out. Mary Carr, her book Stolen Faith, which is book 2 in the Trinity Masters Crossroad Contempt series. This she co-writes with author Lila DuBois. And then Michaela Smetzler, The Endurance of Wildflowers. It is a follow-up novella to the Wildflower Duet. And it concludes that duet and gives you like an extended epilogue novella. So that's her latest release. Like I said, swag packs are out in the mail, and those go to members of the Fancy Drink, Cold Brew, and Queen Bee tiers. We still have fun Buzzing About Romance exclusive stickers along with the author swag. And lots of fun things come in those. Sometimes you're just not sure what I'm sending you because I send random stuff. We still have, let's see here. These are mailed monthly around the 10th of the month, and we do ship these internationally. This perk is now mailed once monthly. If you join after the 10th of the month, your first swag pack will be in mail the following month. Because of amazing Patreons, we're able to bring you 3 episodes a week, and we are still working on our goal of 75 members so we can plan our first ever book retreat. All members of Patreon get exclusive episodes along with perks like Buzzing Book Club. And we are 1 month out from the HA Readers event in Indianapolis, Indiana, and there are still tickets available. We would love to have you join us for our first ever Buzzing About Romance meet up. Make sure you're following us on social media so you know when and where we will be that weekend. And then also we're doing our first live episode recording at the Barnes & Noble in Maumee, Ohio. I'll be joined by some amazing authors such as Jennifer Hartman, Samantha Gale, Piper Rain, Callie Mell, Emily Silver, Brianna Michaels, Dr. Rebecca Sharp, and Janice Whitaker. You can also stay up to date on all of our happenings at bookcaseandcoffee.com/events. I want to take a moment real quick because it was 3 years ago this month that I launched our Patreon. And we have 4 or 5 members that were part of that first sign up that October. Some came in November and December. But there is this core group of probably 10 that joined us back in the beginning. And I just want to give them a special thank you for sticking with me for the last 3 years. I think our community, we have one of the best communities in Romancelandia. Like, everybody is so sweet
100%.
and so kind.
Absolutely.
You can always find a friend. Like, if you need to complain about a book or just talk about your life or whatever. Gloria sends me recipes of things that I'm not sure if I will ever make, but we have a whole recipe chat, just Gloria and I. So it's such an amazing community, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for supporting the podcast. It has not always been easy, but it's always been a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks everyone for talking binging series with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Always a good time.
Until next time, everyone.
Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.